What's up, y'all? My name is Devontae, and I sacrifice my time so you don't have to. All this talk about the press conference last night, the kickoff, whatever you want to call it, it was awesome. It was great. I hope you guys did your due diligence and you went back to go watch it, because you are missing out. And honestly, with everything that's going to happen going forward into the WrestleMania season, everything that's going to happen going into WrestleMania itself, you're really missing a huge chunk. You're missing a huge part of the WrestleMania or the road to WrestleMania experience by not watching that press conference. That's the true beginning. You're going directly into chapter 2, and honestly, you're not getting the real authentic feeling of this road to WrestleMania, no matter how good it ends up being, without watching that press conference. So go do that. Again, stop this video, go watch that, in particular what happened towards the end of the show, and come back to this, at least so you can have a little bit of an understanding when I talk about this also. So with everything that went on last night, fantastic. I loved all of it. You do have to remember, and you do have to be very, 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 very careful. And they've been doing this for the better part of a week now. You have to be very careful not to have someone like Seth Rollins get lost in the weeds. You're very, very short-sighted right now with how they're booking this. They're very, very, very short-sighted. I heard The Rock, he kept saying, throughout the night, and I heard him say this a couple of times throughout the past couple of days. He kept saying, long gamer or some shit like that? Long gamer, long-termer, some shit like that. Is this really playing the long game right here? Is it really playing the long game to use Seth Rollins essentially like a sacrifice, almost like, to get over this story? You don't have to do that, right? Because in the end of the day, you are going to have him main event night 1, right? Right? Because, I look at it like this. And there's two things you can look at. There's two ways you can look at this. If they really are going to main event him at WrestleMania night 1, no matter what it's going to be, whether it's against Drew McIntyre or whatever the case may be, if you're going to main event him for night 1, is it smart to consistently bury him on television in the way that you're doing it in order to put over the bigger main event? Admittedly, obviously, with Rock, with Cody, with Roman, is it smart to be burying him like that if he is going to be your night 1 main event? And number 2, which is even worse, is it smart to be burying him like this in reality when you know you're going to do something with the bloodline and Cody Rhodes and night 1 for that main event to maybe push a narrative to go forward into night 2? Because if that's the case, then you're really not doing your due diligence by doing what you're doing to Seth right now at the moment. Now, I understand in the end of the day that him and CM Punk, that was the plan, and they went down with injuries, and now the plans change up. I understand that in the end of the day. I get that. But you need to find a replacement in the end of the day, because it's not just Seth Rollins who you're burying at the moment. You're burying Seth Rollins as the world champion. That's what I think everybody keeps missing there. You can sit here if you want to and joke around and call Seth a geek and all this stuff. Look, I'm not saying I'm the world's biggest Seth Rollins fan myself. I'm not. And I don't really care for Seth Rollins in the sense that, you guys are going around your... Because, again, yeah, most of the shit that he does is super duper cringe. I'm not saying that. I don't even care about Seth Rollins personally. But at this moment, he is holding one of your world championships. And I thought the whole thought process behind the world championship, never mind the goofy, marky bullshit workhorse championship label they want to give that belt. I don't really care about any of that, because in the end of the day, it's not as if the world heavyweight championship or the Universal, whatever, fucking the belt that Roman has at the moment. Yeah, because it's not defended a bunch of times. Yeah, because it's on the title holder right now. The guy holding the championship belt, whether it's him, whether it's the people that are involved surrounding that championship belt, they're bringing eyes for your so-called world, your marquee workhorse championship belt to get eyes on, right? If it wasn't for that guy holding that specific belt, then your belt wouldn't even matter. It would matter way less than what it matters right now at the moment. That's just the truth of the matter. So all that talk and knocking on the Hollywood championship, please get off your self-righteous, holier-than-thou attitude. That's bullshit. But, you still don't knock this belt. Because there will be a time now. Again, it happened with the WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship back in the days. When Roman loses that belt, and it will happen, and if it goes on Cody, in my opinion, the belt will still be a little bit elevated more past what Seth Rollins' belt currently is at the moment. But at the same time, though, that belt drastically loses its prestige because it's now going on Cody Rhodes. Now, it's not to say that Cody won't do anything to, keep that prestige going, but now it's no longer on the guy who had the belt for about 4 years. Now it's on Cody Rhodes. So by default, no matter how you feel about the story, no matter how you feel about Cody, no matter how you feel about Roman, the belt will drastically lose its prestige going on Cody. It's up to Cody to either prolong that prestige or up it. But it will go down at a certain point, and hell, one may argue maybe even a week when this whole WrestleMania stuff starts to die down. That will happen. And the next champion is Seth Rollins. If you're taking this brand split serious, if you're taking this brand split thing seriously, you need to make sure that belt that Seth is currently holding at the moment has value, has merit, right? And if you're still going to go along the lines of how you're booking the World Championship, and I'm not talking about Seth's, I'm talking about Cody's or Roman's, if you're going to continue to book that belt in the manner of how you're currently booking it at the moment going forward, you're still going to need a guy like Seth Rollins to main event a show with that championship belt, right? Or anybody for that matter, main eventing whatever show with that championship belt. Now, I understand the whole phrase of it's not the belt that makes the guy, it's the guy that makes the belt. And I truly agree with that, but you're not doing the guy any favors when you keep constantly handcuffing him and making him look like a bitch in front of everybody. There's no reason to have to do that to a guy like Seth Rollins. There's no reason to have to do that to that championship belt. You can still, in the end of the day, put them on par. Even though we all know in the end of the day they aren't on par. It's like when Roman was going out to bury Seth on SmackDown. And by the way, I do want to break that narrative a little tiny bit. Yes, I understand that in the end of the day, Roman did bury Seth Rollins. Never forget, and I mean this in the kayfabe stance, it was Seth Rollins that fired the first shots. I feel like people aren't really talking about that, and they keep, not understanding that, and they keep kind of getting around that. Seth Rollins was the first one to bury Roman Reigns, kayfabe speaking. On Raw, he was the one, when he went up against Cody Rhodes, he was the one that called Roman the Hollywood champion. He was the one that said, he was the one that was constantly having days off and all this shit. Always remember, Seth was the first one to fire the shots, if you want to keep this in the kayfabe stance. But he didn't nearly go at, he stayed within the realms of kayfabe, you know what I mean? So he didn't little brother the shit out of Roman Reigns like Roman did to him. He didn't take the championship belt where he has because with Roman Reigns, he has the privilege of holding on to a championship belt that's been established for nearly half a decade, right? On top of the fact that it's his lineage over the past 4 years that's carrying that belt, whereas it's Seth Rollins having to start from the bottom and having to work his way up, and it took him 9 months to get to this position in order to keep that belt elevated for Roman Reigns to just tear it down in mere minutes. That's what I mean. It's almost like a situation where you have someone fighting, and it's like, yeah, you got a 3-year-old who goes up to like a 9-year-old, and, he punches the 9-year-old in the leg. Yeah, the 3-year-old hit him, but it's still a 9-year-old at the end of the day. So if he turns around and he takes that 3-year-old and he launches him across the fucking room, like, you're still going to look at that and be like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, you can take any age bracket. I'm looking at 3 and 9 because 3-year-olds, no matter what happens, they're not really big, obviously. I'm just using that as an analogy. You can use any analogy in that manner, but it's overkill. You do enough, and I felt that Seth Rollins did do enough to attack the world champion without tearing down the world championship belt. I think that's the difference in how they actually work their promos. Roman, he went out of his way to attack the world championship belt in itself. He didn't attack Seth for being a goofball saying stupid shit like a mark, which in my opinion would have been the approach to go to. You insult the champion, but he went out of his way to tear down the championship belt, right? Whereas with Seth, he tore down Roman Reigns and not the world championship. Essentially, yeah, he called it the Hollywood championship belt in the end of the day. Obviously, I get that. But at the same time, he didn't go out of his way to look at that championship belt and say that it's second place. Say that you only go after that belt because I'm holding this belt. He didn't do that, which I think is an outright fucking burial. And then we go into a show like this. We go into this whole press conference stuff. And I understand at the end of the day, the marquee is Cody and Roman. The marquee is something involved in The Rock. I understand that this right here is the build at the end of the day. This is what we're going to get to WrestleMania that's going to get eyeballs on your championship belt. Like I said earlier, all that is understandable. I'm not a mark. I get it. I absolutely understand it. But he's still, in the end of the day, a world champion, and he looks like a fucking he looks like an Intercontinental champion. As a matter of fact, I might even argue that it almost feels like Gunther has more value than Seth Rollins at the moment with how you're treating him. And if this has anything to do with the injury, if this has anything to do with the fact that, hey, well, Seth's in this position, so maybe we can make the most out of what's currently going on at the moment, that's fine, but you're the WWE in the end of the day, right? You're the premier wrestling company. You're the one with all the creative writers, with the billions of dollars behind you and backing, with all the pomp and circumstances that you can afford. You would think that you'd be a little bit, smarter with how you book Seth Rollins in a position like this. You wouldn't just outright throw him out there with the wolves and just say, hey, kid, sink or swim. But you're pretty much putting a center block on his ankles while telling him to swim up to the top. I just don't agree with that kind of way of booking your world champions because, again, let me reiterate myself one more time. You're forgetting that he's a world champion. And if that's not the case, if you do not want to care for him as a world champion, then why even make a world champion to begin with? Like I said, in the end of the day, someone's going to take that belt off of Seth Rollins, and you're going to make them look like a complete goofy. If you're going to book him like this, if you're going to make him look like this, if you're going to tell the audience in the end of the day that he's like this, and your other world champions are directly above him, right? I just don't understand that sense of booking. I don't understand that mentality in the end of the day. Like, can you imagine having someone like, say you're a manager of a store or something along the lines of that? Can you imagine going out of your way to tell your employees how to work, how to do this, how to do that, how to do this, how to do that? And then not knowing all the while there's another manager directly above you, not even a DM, just a regular manager directly above you who never comes to work, who never does anything. And yeah, they're the manager. Yeah, they're the reason why this store exists. They're the reason why these employees are hired. Hell, there's an argument to be made that you as a manager even have a position currently right now that is even worth meriting or warranted because this manager right here made that viable. I understand that and I get that in the end of the day, but you're still not around. That guy is. The employees still need to respect that guy in the end of the day. Because once you leave, someone still has to run that store. Right? Rock ain't going to be around. Roman ain't going to be around like that. If Cody wins that world championship and this brand split legitimately becomes a thing going forward, he's going to be on SmackDown the entire time after this WrestleMania season. Not Seth. What's going to happen with Raw? What's going to happen with the World Championship on Raw in the end of the day? See, that right there. You call yourself, and I'm talking about The Rock now, you call yourself long-term thinking about this, a long gamer, right? A long gamer for you or a long gamer for the wrestling business as a whole, in particular WWE? Not to mention, man, look, I'm not saying that Seth is probably in a position where I feel like he wants to leave WWE. I mean, I guess he really is in a position from a name standpoint, but I mean, like, as far as actually wanting to do it, especially with his wife currently with the company at the moment, I don't know, maybe this has something to do with the fact that he hasn't signed the contract yet. I highly doubt it, because I'm pretty sure they have to believe in the back of their mind that Seth is going to sign the contract when it's all said and done. But if this is their way of sending a message, like, hey, we can do this to you until you sign a contract, or something along the lines of that, right? Obviously, that's probably just me nitpicking and reaching. But what I'm saying is, though, like, there is a possibility if you keep doing this to Seth Rollins, how is he going to feel about this before he signs his contract, right? Right? Not to say that he wouldn't sign his contract. Then again, it's 2024, and we've been seeing a bunch of crazy shit this past couple of weeks. I don't want to put anything past that at the moment, but I'm just saying, treat him right. You don't have to like Seth Rollins. No one has to be a fan of Seth Rollins. No one even has to say we have to be stupid and say that this championship belt at the moment needs to be on par with the World Championship right now that's getting all the press, right? I'm not even saying that. But at the very least, put some respect on Seth Rollins' name. Put some respect on that World Champion's name. And if you don't even care for Seth Rollins to want to put respect on his name right now at the moment, at least do it while he's the World Champion. You don't have to like, I gotta say this one more time. You don't have to like the character, but respect the person carrying the championship at the moment. Because eventually someone else is gonna win that championship belt. And that belt needs that respect to get that World Champion over. And you never know, the next person that might win that championship belt that Seth Rollins is currently wearing right now that's being buried might be one of your favorites. Keep that in mind. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below as far as how you feel about the video. I don't think I said anything that was too out of pocket, but obviously there's always going to be one motherfucker that's going to have a problem with what I'm saying. Don't know why. It just is what it is. It's the internet. It's 2024. Do as you will. I got to get ready to go to work, though. I'll catch you guys later. Be back for the SmackDown review. Deuces, P. Ice.